Welcome to the BioPharma Business Intelligence Unit, where symbolic integrity meets strategic clarity. At BBIU, we go beyond the headlines to decode the structural forces behind global biopharma, AI, and economic realignment. If you value precision, verification, and symbolic depth, this channel is for you. Subscribe now to access our weekly briefings, dossiers, and intelligence reports, and consider joining our institutional tier to unlock early warning systems, custom metrics, and exclusive strategic insight. You're not just listening, you're entering the future of epistemic intelligence. www.biopharmabusinessintelligenceunit.com.
Trump's retaliation against China's rare earth export controls and market shock. Executive summary. On October 9, 2025, the Chinese Ministry of Commerce, MOFCOM, issued announcement number 61, tightening export controls on rare earths and related technologies, citing national security and expanding coverage to goods produced outside China that contain 0.1% of Chinese origin rare earth elements. Some provisions took immediate effect. Others are scheduled for December 1, 2025. In response, on October 10th, U.S. President Donald Trump announced via Truth Social that the U.S. would impose an additional 100% tariff on Chinese imports starting November 1st, or earlier depending on Beijing's actions. He also signaled forthcoming export controls on all core software, escalating the trade confrontation. The announcement triggered a sharp market sell-off. The Dow fell -1.9%, S&P 500 -2.7%, and NASDAQ -3.56%, marking the steepest decline since Trump's April 3rd Day of Liberation tariff warning. Semiconductor stocks such as Nvidia, AMD, and Micron led the downturn, underlining the vulnerability of tech-heavy indices to geopolitical shocks. The confrontation signifies not merely another tariff round, but the weaponization of strategic resources and software ecosystems. Both sides are leveraging asymmetric instruments, China with raw materials, the U.S. with market access and software chokeholds. Structured opinion, BBIU analysis. When we situate ourselves inside Xi Jinping's current position, the rare earth export restriction, Announcement 61, must be read not as a confident assertion of strength, nor as a conciliatory gesture of weakness, but as an act of narrative survival by a leader already under structural pressure. Xi's internal position. Internally, Xi confronts a confluence of destabilizing signals. The emergence of small but symbolically powerful acts of dissent, e.g. the Chongqing protest, with anti-party slogans projected in a public space, which challenge the aura of total control. The sudden need to reinforce censorship policies, including the campaign to suppress negative emotions online, which reflects a government that feels the pulse of public discontent and attempts to extinguish it at the narrative level. The unexplained removal of Liu Jianchao and his replacement with Liu Haixing at the International Department, signaling both distrust of cadres not fully embedded in Xi's inner circle and a securitization of the party's foreign relations arm. Taken together, these developments indicate a leadership that is not projecting dominance internally, but rather one that is consolidating control to offset emerging cracks. A truly strong leader would not need to resort to such maneuvers. Xi's external gambit against this backdrop, Announcement 61 emerges as a move to seize control of the external narrative. By extending export restrictions to rare earths and even to goods manufactured abroad that contain Chinese origin inputs, Xi is attempting to demonstrate that China retains global leverage and can dictate terms beyond its borders. It is a bold declarative act, but its substance is limited. The actual economic impact unfolds only gradually. Since rare earths influence medium-term industrial production rather than immediate consumer markets. The timing of the announcement is therefore the critical clue. Coming just one day before Trump's declaration of an additional 100% tariff on Chinese imports, it is less about economic mechanics and more about narrative positioning. Xi needed to speak first and claim initiative before Washington imposed its own framing. Trump's countermove and the calendar trap. Trump's tariff announcement, by contrast, strikes with immediacy. It intersects directly with U.S. domestic consumption patterns. October is the month when American retailers prepare inventories for Black Friday, Christmas, and New Year. The mere expectation of tariffs forces importers to adjust prices upward in anticipation of higher replacement costs. Thus, consumer prices in the United States may rise even before the tariffs formally take effect. This is strategically devastating for Xi's timing. His move, rare earth restrictions, is structurally important but slow burning, visible mainly in industrial supply chains. Trump's move, tariffs, is blunt, immediate, and electorally timed. With congressional elections looming in November, Trump leverages this asymmetry to demonstrate toughness on China while pushing the inflationary consequences onto his domestic opponents. Xi's structural dilemma. The paradox is clear. Xi cannot negotiate openly because doing so from a position of visible weakness would undermine his authority inside China and erode the party's legitimacy. Yet he cannot afford to escalate indefinitely because the U.S. possesses faster-acting instruments of market disruption, tariffs, software controls, than China's resource constraints can deliver. The result is a survival maneuver. Xi launches a maximalist declaration, Announcement 61, not because it is the optimal policy, but because it is the most visible gesture still available that does not immediately expose him to a loss. BBIU analytical verdict: Xi is operating in a groggy state. He is not dictating from strength, nor retreating from weakness in pursuit of compromise. Instead, he is staggering under the weight of simultaneous pressures: internal dissent, economic fragility, external confrontation, and compensating by inflating a symbolic act into a display of strategic will. Announcement 61 should therefore be read as symbolic theater designed to project strength outward and stabilize perception inward, even though its practical impact will take months to manifest. In contrast, Trump's tariff escalation has immediate consequences for U.S. consumer prices and political dynamics. The decisive factor will not be rare earths themselves, but whether Trump succeeds in converting his tariff maneuver into electoral leverage in the November congressional elections. If he does, Xi's bluff risks being exposed. His symbolic assertion will be drowned by the material immediacy of American market disruption. You've reached the end of the open section of this BBIU content. The complete analysis, with full data, structural frameworks, and extended annexes, is available exclusively to our subscribers. At BBIU, we believe the real value lies beyond headlines, in the depth of structural intelligence that helps leaders and organizations see further. If you want access to the complete archive and future reports, join us at BBIU and take part in the next level of analysis.